Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Ref the District, episode 200. Here, I'm Nathan. That's the Soner. That's Trev. We're going to have a lot of 200 celebration stuff going on this episode because that's a pretty big deal. I mean, we started this in January of 2021. It is now November, end of November. Actually, almost we're coming up almost on the actual month thing here, but 200 episodes. We appreciate everybody who has joined us. Of course, we stream live every Wednesday here on YouTube and Facebook, and then you can catch us live on any of those audio platforms. And to continue our housekeeping, make sure you head on over to Bet Online. They're the most trusted source for your betting information. If you wanted to see the Washington Commanders plus 10 at home against the hated Dallas Cowboys, because it's Dallas week, then Bet Online's the site for you because they've got that handy for you. If you want to talk about all the NHL action that's going good over there with Ovi, chasing that I know might be injured after that, but you still got NBA action. You still got all the good stuff. MMA. Don't vote on stupid old person boxing games. That's a bad idea. But if you wanted to, Bet Online has all the information for you because, again, they're the number one trusted source. Bet Online, where the game starts.
Dallas week.
It is Dallas week. We want Dallas, and that is exactly what we'll be talking about here on episode 200. And almost just like the rest of our Ref the District content for you, we're going to start a little bit on the bad. We're going to be starting off on the fourth quarter collapse here for our warm-up. Then we'll go to That's Offensive, which is talking about the offensive woes and Jaden Daniels. Is he hurt? Is he not hurt? Dan Quinn says he's not, but still looking like he's not himself. And then it's ending with a positive. We want Dallas favorites at home. And honestly, I just don't see a way we're going to lose, but that's a spoiler alert and a half. And then by the end of this, we will have a giveaway, a $200 Fanatics giveaway, gift card giveaway. So you want to stick around to find out how you can enter for that. That'll be in the cool down. So stick around. Let's start with this fourth quarter mess that we've seen. This has not been, Trev, right? This has not been a new thing. Philadelphia won, it bit us in the butt. Chicago came back, it didn't bite us in the butt. The Steelers, it bit us in the butt. Why can't the defense and the offense, because it's a duo thing, why can't they perform in the fourth quarter?
Defense is on the field too long. They're gassed by the time fourth quarter gets there. Thursday's debacle, I think it really had to do with the short week. It's a brand new group. We've never experienced a short week with them before. I know a lot of talk coming out saying that they're happy to get a full week of practice back in, full week of practice reps, full week of routine back in, because the short week the practice got interrupted because you got to travel, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to walk.
Philly had a short week too, Trev. Just throwing it out there.
Philly has been to the Super Bowl with almost the same roster they have now. This is a brand new roster, brand new coaching, brand new. It's brand new for us. I know what you mean. I know.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I know, but I think that had a huge effect on it. Jaden today said he's not hurt. He's just, I don't know. I guess the lack of cohesiveness happened on Thursday, and defense was on the field for a long time Thursday. Our MO used to be time of possession, but we've kind of got away from that the past few weeks. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just we're tired. Maybe it's just the offense is trying new things as we go rather than sticking to our game plan. I don't know what's going on. And then defense, like I said, they're just on the field too long. They can't get off the field in third down. When they do, our offense comes out and goes 3 and out, and they're right back on the field again for a long drive. So for once, really, I'm not really concerned or putting the blame on the defense right now because they're being put in those positions due to the lack of offense that we have been running here in the past couple weeks. So,
what was the score going into the fourth quarter? Does anybody remember? I'm pretty sure it was Washington was up 10-6.
Yeah, they were up 10-6.
Yeah.
Every one of these, Washington, and this is why they're collapses, every one of these, Washington was up. Yeah. Some of them, they were up by 2 scores. The Philadelphia one, of course, wasn't. It was 10-6.
Yeah. I think that's concerning for sure because you're up in these games in the fourth quarter. And in that Philly game, that was a total collapse in the fourth quarter.
Elliott did miss 2 field goals. Though at that point, I don't remember if he missed. I guess he missed the extra point too. Right?
Yeah, he missed 7
points. Yeah, so at that point, it really could have been, and I know what it could have, should have, but I mean, it really could have been 13-10. Washington could have been down, but the way the game flowed, they were up 10-6.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Trev mentioned it about the time of possession. And the time of possession really comes back to 2 things. Again, one thing that Trev said was defensively, you're not getting off the field on 3rd downs.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at their percentage, I don't have it off the top of my head. They had a high percentage of 3rd down conversions. So you're not doing what you need to do in those critical plays. There's a few critical plays every game that you have to be successful on if you want to have a overall successful game. And second of all, I think it comes back to, which was the biggest problem last year, was your offense is not carrying the weight. They're not pulling their own weight on their side of the ball. They're not sustaining drives. They're not keeping their defense rested. They're just consistently having, I mean, what did Tress Way punt? 6 times?
Yeah, that was a lot.
This week, right? And I think before the Pittsburgh game, I think he had punted like 11 times the entire year in 9 games.
Yeah.
And he punted 6 times in this one game, which means the offense wasn't doing their job. And we're going to talk more about
5 times, by the way, 5 punts.
5 times. Okay. We're going to talk more about the offense and what seems to be going on later on in the show. But if the offense is not sustaining drives, if they're not successfully running the ball, if they're not successfully converting 3rd downs. I don't know if you had it in front of you, 3 of 12.
I do. The 3rd down conversions for the Eagles game alone, they were 3 of 12.
Yeah. That's not going to get it done, obviously.
No.
And then you're what? 1 of 2 on 4th down?
1 of 2 on 4th downs. Yeah. And that was what TJ here was asking us. I still want to know what that 4th down call was.
That was, I know they came out saying they want to be aggressive. That's their kind of their theme this year, but at the same time, you can be aggressive, but you got to be smart. And taking the points there is smart. Like
I actually disagree on that one. I agreed with them going for the field goal, and I understand the overall big picture concept. They didn't
go for the field goal. They did not. This is the 4th. They did not. They chose not to go for the 4th.
They did not go for the field goal.
You're saying you side with Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury. Go for it on 4th down. Be aggressive. Yeah, you're not getting a winner from me over here.
Right. The defense had been out on that field and they had been getting gashed. How many plays did the offense have before that 4th down? If you look at the play-by-play, 3 or 4 plays in that drive I'm talking about. In that particular drive,
turnover on downs, they would have actually had 9 plays, 45 yards in 4 minutes.
4 minutes. So you had a 4-minute drive. You had a short drive. And you've got a 4th down there.
Yeah.
If you don't make it, if you make it, right, then your defense gets more rest.
Sure.
If you don't make it, you're coming back out there. If you kick the field goal, your defense is coming right back out there again. You saw what the defense did after that. You saw that
they folded. They absolutely folded.
Yeah. So they were obviously in the position that 1, they needed the points, and 2, that defense was gassed and he needed to buy him some more time. I agree with
Trev. You get him, Trev, and I'm gonna tag. You tag me in when you're ready.
Okay, I just want to say, okay, I hear you, but also if we take points, we have a chance of them getting the ball back in their own territory and making a longer drive for them to get down and score. We didn't convert that. We gave them a short field with the gas defense. There, of course, we're just giving them it's a layup for them.
What was the field position? Where did they start?
Like at the 40-ish, something like that. I don't know. Who was in Zane's
turnover on downs happened at the Philadelphia 26.
26. Okay. That's the same as a kickoff, Trev.
Yeah, but it's 3 points.
Trying.
Yes,
I'm just saying that's not. But
you still give the defense more of a rest. I think if you kick the field goal, TV timeout, they line up for kickoff.
I was about to say that's my argument.
And you give the Eagles, and it's not a momentum thing because the Eagles every time that happens, a missed field goal, a blocked field goal, a blocked punt, a failed 4th down conversion, It's a no-brainer. It's momentum for the other team. It happens every time. They might not score, but they get a first down, or they get some momentum and make the defense do whatever. So I think if we just took the points, we give them the mindset, okay, we got to drive down the whole field because we already took 4 minutes off the clock. Drive down the whole field, give our defense a chance to maybe allow a first down here, but we have to give them a better chance to stop on third down than going for it on 4th and 1 at Philadelphia with the crowd behind them and the momentum on their side. And they did exactly what they were supposed to do.
So Stoner, what was the score of the game at that time?
It was Philadelphia, 15-13, maybe something like that?
12-10, I think.
12-10.
We went up 13-12.
Okay. Your argument is make the 4th down, give them more time. Like Trev mentioned, you kick the field goal. Defense still isn't out there. You've got TV time. You've got the kickoff and the setup and everything. You're guaranteed to give your defense at least 2 more minutes of rest before going out there. Vice, going for it and not getting it, your defense is immediately out there. Zero break. Zero break.
No.
Okay.
Well, are you telling me that they didn't have a TV timeout after that failed 4th down?
Of course they went right out there.
Don't even. Of course they did. Look, we're not talking about a 2-minute sort of thing, right? You're talking extending it further, sure. I'm talking about 10 or 15 minutes. And I don't mean clock minutes. I mean real minutes. 10 to 15 minutes of extra time. If you can sustain that drive for 4 or 5 more plays and score and kick the extra point and get the TV timeout and get the kickoff and then get another TV timeout. You see what I'm saying? I think he was just in his mind that he can see that his defense was gassed and he needed to do something. He needed to play the odds that he's got to help his defense at some point. And what were they at that time? 12 for 12 on 4th downs for the entire season. They hadn't been stopped on 4th down the whole year.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. They're good on 4th down.
Right.
But we play to win the game. We don't play to rest the defense.
You play to win the game.
So go for it if you play to win the game.
You got to get points. It's a gimme shot right there.
So you think that everything that was going on at that point, that a 13-12 lead was going to hold up for the rest of the game?
Yeah, that was TJ's
maybe
point.
Not,
Kicking
but
the field
at
goal
least
would have given us
a
a 1-point lead.
It gives the opposing team the mentality, hey, even though it's 1 point, we're still losing this game. Now they're going to try and play with more urgency because that's what Philly does. We could have, and the way our offense was performing, we should have taken points when they were gimmies. We couldn't go down and score. Our offense was sputtering 3 and out, 3 and out. We had a chance to put some more points on the board and kind of shift the momentum just a little bit and go with the lead 13-12, and then maybe trust our defense. Maybe he throws a pick. Maybe somebody fumbles. Maybe they go 3 and out. We never know.
I
give them a chance.
I get what you guys are saying, and it's totally understandable. I'm not coming to your side because I agree with what Dan Quinn did with the facts that he had facing them in that split-second decision. I agree that he made the right decision, and the play was not executed, whether it be Jaden's cadence was off, whatever. Sam Cosmi went the wrong way. The snap was bobbled.
Exactly. You don't even risk that if you just take the points.
Gus has a good point here. It's all about perspective. Defense might show up more when protecting a lead. Graham here, I think you take the points if it gives you a lead. We missed the 4th down. They get momentum of that and score. Now they have a 9-point lead, and it's a 2-score game.
See?
We have some fantastic people here in the comment section. I mentioned TJ already. Uptown Dre, Lockdown Law, Grimjaw's in the house, JG. We got franchise talk. We got Doug. We got, let's see, Adam is here. Yam is in the house. Jersey. I know I saw Coach was here earlier. We appreciate everybody joining us for our Timothy's in the house as well. For our 200th episode, right now we're talking about that Philadelphia game, specifically the 4th quarter struggles, not just the 4th down struggles that they had in this game. We're going to be talking a lot about the offense. Start a couple of the offense comments. That's going to get talked more extensively in the game portion here on the 4th thing. So you guys brought up time of possession, and I think that might have been somewhat a factor, but I was shocked at the end of this game in particular that the discrepancy wasn't all that large. It was 33 to 27.
Mm-hmm.
So six minutes. That's not insignificant.
Yeah.
But the way that it felt, the game flow felt, like we talked about 5 punts and everything like that, that Washington, like their defense was just out there too much. And there was, issues all aboard. So with the discrepancy not being that big, why is the defense, which had performed in each of these games really well through 3 quarters, all of a sudden forget how to play football in the fourth quarter? Because I don't buy into it being gassed. And I'm going to go look at the other games, by the way, because I want to see the discrepancy on the time of possession at that point as well. Because it's not like Washington closed the gap in the last few drives. After the fourth down, turnover on downs, the very next drive was an interception. That pretty much ended any hope that Washington was going to get there. Well, actually, it was the 2-play touchdown drive for the Philadelphia Eagles that ended any hope of Washington going back in there. But even the long drive to finish with the touchdown, that was only 4 minutes as well. So I don't buy into Washington, the defense is gassed type business when the discrepancy isn't that large. They should be able to play 33 minutes.
Look, I'll tell you exactly why, Nathan, and maybe people aren't talking about this enough. Look at the amount of rushing attempts for Philadelphia. Look at the amount of rushing attempts for Pittsburgh, and look at the amount of rushing attempts for the Bears. Those rushing, that constant pounding of an offensive line against a defensive line takes its toll over the course of 60 minutes. It just does. That's why you constantly hear people saying, run the damn ball, RTDB. We talk about it on this show all the time. Controlling the line of scrimmage is the key to winning any game. Always has been, always will be. You have to control the line of scrimmage consistently. And when an offense is pounding and pounding, you don't have to gash. You don't have to have big runs. You just have to consistently do it. And you have to commit to it. And Philadelphia did that. And by the time it gets to the fourth quarter, those defensive linemen for Washington, those linebackers, they're tired, man. They're tired of getting pummeled. We always talk about offensive linemen. They love going forward and hitting dudes. They hate going backwards and trying to protect. That's not their mentality. And it's the same thing with a defensive lineman. When a guy's coming right at you, it wears on you for 4 quarters instead of you trying to go around guys or, when you're rushing a quarterback.
Especially when you have somebody like Saquon Barkley back there who we bottled up for 3 quarters and then you knew he's going to break one here or there.
Just saying that, right? Playmakers
make
plays at the end, and Saquon was super clutch at the end was what guys said. I have the numbers, by the way, if you want.
You just have to keep going at it. You just have to keep running the ball, and that's what Pittsburgh committed to. That's what Philadelphia committed to, running the ball, even if they weren't successful. What was Saquon at one point, like 15 rushes for 46 yards, something like that.
Yeah, we had him bottled off
in the fourth quarter. But by the time it got to that late in that fourth quarter, then he starts busting off these huge runs.
Because we're tired and we can't make the plays that we need to make.
Again, I just don't necessarily buy the tired.
It's tired from getting pounded into over and over and over and over again.
It's just going to keep pounding the table about pounding the rock.
I agree.
And I think we might have something to say about pounding. Let's talk about these stats real quick. So Chicago, 27 minutes and 44 seconds was their time of possession. So again, I don't buy the defense being gassed. Rush attempts, 33 rush attempts. 6.1 yards a carry for the record.
And how many Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh, I think, was close
to 40.
Pittsburgh
was even worse. 36 minutes, 11 seconds.
No, I'm talking about the
43 rushing attempts.
43. Yeah, there it is. What was
the yards per carry?
Theirs was abysmal. Theirs was 3.3.
3.3, yet they carried it 43 times.
Yes.
And they're getting 3 yards a carry. But
Philadelphia 40 attempts, rushing attempts, 5.7 yards a carry. 33 minutes as we talked
and
about.
most of that 5.7 was in that with those 2 Barkley runs, those 2 giant
Barkley
runs.
having some super
super
good runs there to end the game. Unfortunately, probably shouldn't have scored on the second one. Like he should have just probably laid down. But he didn't stop running on that one. I think that was the one he just kept running, ran all the way into the middle of the bench. So good times. Good.
So
times.
I think the answer to that, Nathan, really is that they're running the ball, the other team running the ball consistently over the course of a full game. By the time you get to that fourth quarter, the defense is tired. It doesn't have to necessarily be time of possession. It just has to be that commitment to the run plus the time of possession.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll see if that happens with Cooper Rush, Ezekiel Elliott, and who else they have. We'll be talking about
that.
Beat Dallas.
We'll be talking about that in the cool down. But first, we need to talk about that offense that I know everybody is really heaping. As much as we were harping on the defense, people want to know what's going on with the offense. Is that the issue? We'll talk about it here in the game. It's episode 200 here on Ref the District, and we are excited to have you joining us live. We will be giving away a $200 gift card to Fanatics. That's going to be coming up in the cool down. Stick around for that so you know exactly how to enter. But we do appreciate everybody jumping in here for that live here on Ref the District. Offensive woes seem to be a bit of a problem right now for this team.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an issue like what people have talked about? Locked on Law here. Cliff's offense is getting predictable. That's not helping. Yam, I know Cliff is the offensive coordinator, but I wonder if this is at least partially due to his tend to get figured out by opposing teams back when he was a head coach. It's a common trend. I personally don't think so, says Yam. What say you guys when it comes to this offense? Is it getting predictable, or is there another factor at work here?
Hey, Trev, let me ask you a question before you answer.
Okay.
A little bit more specific question on the same topic, of course. I'm not changing topics, but if you had to take, like what Nathan was saying, if you had to take like a blame pie, if you will, right, and try and figure out what's the biggest piece of the pie, and you have his injury, Jaden Daniels' injury, Cliff Kingsbury being figured out, like Yam brought up, playing better defenses, or the fact that they've just had this kind of tough schedule with a lot of limited practices in the last couple of weeks. You have to have one piece of the pie bigger than everything else.
The bigger piece of pie for me is the limited practice time, to be honest. Of course, the whole pie is all the things, but I think the biggest is what I just said. I think people are studying the tape on Jaden Daniels on our offense. Better defenses have the players to execute what previous defenses have tried to do, but they couldn't do it, so I'm saying talent level on defenses, Pittsburgh's defense. We still scored 27 that game. So really, I think the discrepancy is from Pittsburgh to the Eagles game, when we only scored 10 points. I'm not even counting that last touchdown because that was like with 20 seconds left, but we did score it. But offensive, 10 points. And I really do think
the Hail Mary, that was with no time left.
Yeah. I still think that it's the lack of the limited time for practicing. It's a brand new group. We're still learning each other. It's still a brand new offense. I hate to keep using that as an excuse, but that's literally what it is. Everything for us is brand new. There's no cohesiveness prior to this year with our roster, our coaching staff, even the front office. So we're still trying to figure it out. And I think that as we go on with the limited practice time, every practice rep counts for us. That's how we stay in tune. That's how we can stay in rhythm. And I think that we collapse. It's not because teams are beating us. It's because we're beating ourselves. We're dropping the ball. We're not getting the passes to the receivers. We're throwing them at their feet. We're undisciplined when it comes to penalties. We never really go toe to toe and just get beat. We just beat ourselves, and then we let the other team back in the game, and we can't come back from that. That's what's going on. And
Well, I
I
would
think
dispute that in the Philly game, though. I think Philly just handed it to us. I don't think that was.
I mean, we bottled them up for 3 quarters, bro. We just couldn't score. They kept giving us chances to go down the field and score with the missed kicks, with the 3 and outs we forced. We held Saquon Barkley to 45 yards entering the 4th quarter. Like, we could have easily won the Pittsburgh game and the Eagles game. I really do think that. But it's just that from Sunday to Thursday with this new offense and this new roster, we literally need the more practice reps to get to us to be as successful as we was before this Eagles game. I mean, it was a short time to practice. It was walkthroughs. It wasn't really anything up to speed, fast tempo, game situation style. It was just all walkthroughs. Even some rest days in the 3-day break that we got. So I'm going to say the biggest piece of the pie was the limited practice time, because ever since then, our offense has been humming. We scored 27 against Pittsburgh. We scored 23 against Baltimore. We put up 42. We put up 30s. Like, we've been scoring points.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it comes to that short week of limited practice, it's like we were dropping passes, like I said, not getting the passes to the receivers, just playing real sloppy like we haven't practiced in a while. Didn't get much practice. That's me personally, I think.
I think it probably – I like a lot what you said there, Trev, and I think a lot of the limited practice time goes back to really what I think is the biggest piece of the pie, and that is Jaden Daniels' injury / hurt, however you want to diagnose it. I don't care. But he has been limited in practice. In the that the team has had, he has been limited in those practices. He has not been getting the reps, especially when the injury first happened, but prior to the Chicago game. How many practices did he actually practice? Maybe the one on that Friday beforehand, and he wasn't even a full participant then. It's his injury is causing issues with his ability to do the things that he's been doing from the beginning of the season. His running ability, his accuracy. Cliff Kingsbury limiting his running plays. All of that comes back to his injury. And you can downplay it all you want. I've heard all of the reasons for what's going on with him, but I'm sorry, he was injured. And District Divided did a really sharp thing and brought up what they said on Thursday Night Football, what the sideline reporter said on Thursday Night Football. And that Jaden told her that there's something wrong. He's had issues with his ribs. I don't remember the specific quote, but he said it to her. He is hurt. He said today in his press conference that they're putting a wrap on it between series, while he's sitting on the bench because he wants to stay warm. Sorry, that's a bunch of horse ass. It is. Nobody else is doing that. Why is Jaden Daniels doing it over his injury? He's not doing it on his shoulder that needs to stay warm or his elbow. He's doing it across his ribs because there's something hurt there. I'm not saying that he's going to be injured the rest of the year. I'm just saying he's not 100%, as Franchise Talk says. He's not. It's okay to say he's not 100%, and that's the biggest piece of the pie for me. Nathan, do you have a bigger pie slice for any of those reasons?
So I would say the smallest part is anybody who thinks the offense is falling off because a cliff is getting figured out. That's the
I don't believe it either.
That it might be a sliver. If you go out and you watch the L22 or watch smarter people than us break down the L22, they'll show you that Cliff is still working in the bag and there's open receivers and there's things going on. Jaden Daniels hasn't been as sharp as he was in the beginning. Now, that being said, Uptown Dre here pointing out here, fellas, it was Pittsburgh and Philly the last 2 games. Solid contending. No excuses. They're better squads regardless of our practice time, period. And that's
another slice.
I would say that's a slice, right? We're playing better teams. All right. These Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are 2 legit teams that are going to go into the playoffs and might make deep runs. Okay. Pittsburgh dismantled Baltimore. Worse than they beat us. They dismantled Baltimore. Baltimore still had a chance.
Defensively, yeah.
Yeah. So Baltimore still had a chance, but Pittsburgh still won that game and looked impressive in it. Okay. So Philadelphia hasn't looked great against good competition all year until facing us, but they've beat the teams they need to beat. And they have the Super Bowl cachet, as Stoner pointed out last week, when it comes to why they would be considered a better team, even though they haven't beaten anybody this year. So that I'm going to throw that one out the window. Jaden Daniels in the cold. That's one that keeps being brought up here. As far as that's concerned, Jaden Daniels is a California kid, played in Arizona and then Louisiana. Don't tend to find a lot of cold weather games there. SEC doesn't go very far north. Missouri might be the furthest north.
Right? Sure.
Yeah, we'll just go with them. Arkansas or Missouri.
Tennessee.
Not really that far north.
Yeah.
I guess Arkansas is under Missouri. So yeah. So Missouri's got to be the one that's furthest north. So it's not really getting cold for them there.
Right.
Arizona, of course. Well, Arizona State would have played in Oregon and Washington and a couple of northern ones, but I don't buy into he's the cold weather guy. Coach, number one Washington hater, spends more time on Commanders content creators pages than Coach spends time on Philadelphia pages talking about how Jaden Daniels is Tua 2.0 and will wilt in the cold. Kid has
get out of here with that.
Kid hasn't even played a full NFL season. We don't even know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah,
we just don't know yet.
Yeah, way too early to have takes like that. We appreciate Coach jumping in for us, even if Coach is a Philadelphia fan and a hater.
Definitely.
So I don't buy the cold. Practice time, I do think, is a big factor. I would say that's a somewhat. So we've talked about all the small slivers. Let's talk about the bigger ones. Practice time it matters. You're missing out on some of the time. This is an offense that's still trying to connect. This is an offense that's still trying to grow. And even as good as they had looked previously, you still have to keep that connection going. But the biggest piece of the pie is really that Jaden Daniels just not playing at 100%. Now,
I agree.
They said he's hurt. He's not injured. I don't care about where you slice that piece of pie. The fact is he's not driving balls the way we've seen. He can layer it one throw, but then he's noticeably off on other throws. And I think that's your biggest piece of pie. Someone else mentioned rookie wall, by the way. I don't think he's hit the rookie wall either. I think it
was only 11 games. They played 15 at LSU.
Yeah. I really think it just comes down to the fact that he is sore and it's impacting his ability to play the game of football in a meaningful way. We did see the offense shift somewhat, right? The running him less deliberately, or they might show it early just to be like, hey, think about him running and then not try to run him. But I do think that the two teams we played against have good defenses that are used to running quarterbacks. And so they knew how to contain Jaden Daniels' rushing attack. We'll see how he does. I mean, Dallas, he could just run 200 yards against that awful team.
And maybe not just all on Jaden's injury too. When you're missing a Brian Robinson for a couple of games, he played in this last game, but he missed a couple of games, right? Wiley missed a game and a half, whatever it was. Biotish was in and out of a couple of games because of injury. You've got a rookie left tackle. All of that plays into it. All of that kind of plays into, we're not necessarily a young team, but we're young in certain places, and we're a new team. It's a new team. As Trev said, and Nathan, you said it also, that Philadelphia has been playing together for a long time. Most of the guys, the key guys, have been playing together for a long time, and a lot of them are superstars in their own right. So they don't necessarily need all those things to be able to come together all the time and get all of those practice reps like this team needs. Jaden, as good as he is, as good as he has been already, he needs those practice reps. We talked about it last year with Sam Howell and whether we wanted him to kind of play down the stretch or whatever. yes, you need to play. You need as many reps as possible. So I think it all plays into it, not just Jaden's injury, but injuries around Jaden as well.
So one of the things that was asked is from Gus Bus, and we'll follow it again with JG here. Gus Bus, before the Pittsburgh game, said, sit him. So he's asking now, is my hot take to sit Jaden against Pittsburgh foolish still? Yeah. And JG asking once again, why is Jaden Daniels starting? If he's injured, this is now me, JG finished it with the starting. If he's injured, why is Jaden Daniels starting? Why Trev, if he's not 100%, why do they continue putting him into the field of play?
Because the season has taken a drastic turn of, we can win now. And he in the quarterback room gives us the best chance to win 100% or not. It just is what it is. I mean, yes, you can see he's hurt on the field, but some of it's on the receivers too. We had 5 or 6 drop passes in the past 2 games, either the Pittsburgh game or the Philly game. I can't remember which one. Penalties from the offensive line or for the offense. It's not all just Jaden and his injury, but he gives us the best chance to win, injured or not, in that quarterback room. Mariota came in and did what he did against who was that? Some poopy team.
Carolina.
We probably could have done the same thing against that defense.
Yeah, I could have.
But we're in the win now. We can win now mode. We could go somewhere. We can go the postseason mood, and he gives us the best chance for us to do that.
Even probably Jaden Daniels at 75% with that rib injury is still better than Marcus Mariota.
We just put up 27 on Sunday. I think this past Philly game was the worst he's looked his entire season.
Yeah,
and he was hurt on Sunday against Pittsburgh, and he looked a little bit better than he did against Philly. So
the short turnarounds, Trev, is a good point. I mean, if he's playing hurt already, and Locked On pointing out it's a pain tolerance thing. He plays on Sunday, turns around and plays on Thursday. It's not a great deal of recovery time to bounce back and get into form, where he did just score 27 points, and the week before that scored high 20s against the Giants.
Yeah. So
this is from the 33rd team prior to his injury, prior to Jaden Daniels' injury. Yeah. His stats were 75.3% completion percentage, right? Yeah. A 107.1 rating.
Yeah.
A 0.28 EPA for every drop back.
Yeah.
And he was throwing 8.5 yards per attempt. Since the injury, he is down to 59.5% completion percentage. That's a big drop.
Okay.
His rating is down to 89.6 just in the game since the injury.
Yeah.
And his EPA per drop back is 0.09, and he's only attempting it 7.4 yards per attempt. So everything is down since the injury. So you can't say that it's not the injury. If
it is a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
Receivers have to catch the ball. Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, Trev, sorry. I wanted to point out, because you really can't pinpoint it on the injury, just the injury, because it's not like they're playing the same teams as before. Since the Panthers, the teams have been the Bears, the Giants, the Steelers, and the Eagles. 3 of those are great defenses, and the other one was, at that time, the leader in sacks.
Yeah.
So that plays a part into it. So as much as we're pinpointing to the injury, we have been playing better teams, better defenses, where he's not going to look nearly as sharp. So now he has to contend with this injury and better defenses.
Yeah. And lack of practice time.
Yeah. It's all part of the pie.
It is.
And all of that pie, by the way, is all fixable.
Yes.
It's not one of those things. It's not a situation where you say, well, maybe Jaden Daniels is not as good as we thought he was. I have heard some of that. That's farthest from the truth. We've seen it. You can do your eye test. You can do your analytics test. You can do your stats test. You can do your ask the expert test. Whatever test you want to do. We all know that Jaden Daniels is the franchise quarterback, a top 10 quarterback in the league right now.
Dude, we are so lucky to have this guy.
Dude.
We are very, very lucky.
All the stats say good stuff.
If you look at his statistics, and you do the eye test on his basic statistics that we've been looking at since we were kids, right? You look at completion percentage, yards, rating, touchdowns, interceptions. That's really what you look at, right? Jaden's are all really good. They're very good. They're way, everything is top 10 except for touchdown passes. That's the only, he has a pedestrian amount of touchdown passes. He has 10 in 11 games. That's not great. That's not rookie of the year worthy. That's not MVP worthy. That's not top 10 quarterback worthy if you can only throw 10 in a game. However, I did a little research on this, right? On his touchdown passes. The first thing to look at is it's amazing. He has not thrown a single touchdown in the field of play this year. Every touchdown pass, all 10 of his touchdown passes have been thrown into the end zone. That's pretty amazing. And he's the only quarterback that has done that this year, obviously, because that's not usually a thing. You don't usually track that. Think about that. Not one time has he thrown it in the field of play and that receiver has caught it and run into the end zone. Hasn't happened yet. Right? The second thing is I went back and looked at how many times a receiver was tackled inside the 5. Inside the 5. 11 times. 11 times a receiver has caught the ball and has been tackled inside the 5. 5 times they've been tackled at the 1 yard line. It's happened 5 times, gentlemen. How crazy is that? 5 times tackled at the 1. I did the full research on it. If those passes where the guys got tackled inside the 5, if they had gone into the end zone, that was 11 times, right? That's 11 extra touchdown passes. However, in 3 of those 11 times, he ended up throwing a touchdown pass anyway in that drive. Mm-hmm. So we knock out 3 of those. That's still 8 extra passes that should have been touchdown passes. That's 18, right? One of those that was tackled inside the 5 turned into an interception. So if that guy had gotten in the end zone, you take the interception away. So now we're talking about 18 touchdowns and 2 picks. And let's not forget the Diami drop. Remember the Diami? Oh, there you go. TJ's good timing. Perfect timing. The Diami drop that he dropped that. And what happened after that? Eckler ran it in for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's 19, whatever analytic you want to put on that, whatever you want to call it, SBTs should have been touchdowns. Right? He should be sitting there, seriously. And I know people don't like to play the shoulda, coulda, woulda.
The what if game, sure.
Right. But this is like with statistical background.
Yeah. Well, and
touchdowns and 2 picks. That, my friends, is insane.
You went even further because a lot of the people against this particular SBT that you were sharing wanted to say you could do that with any QB.
Yeah.
And so you pulled one. It happened to be Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I just pulled a good one, right?
Yeah. 3 touchdowns or 3 SBTs.
3 SBTs that he has had all year. Yeah, I mean, we should call it an analytic, right? We should call it a stat.
SBT.
Sure.
I just made it up. I mean, all stats are made up at some point.
I think it is, yeah. But I think we should find some kind of fancy. You remember completion percentage over expected, CPOE, right? So it's like touchdowns under expected, maybe. Was that TDUE?
Do that math.
Tutty.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
So it's just crazy that Jalen Hurts has had 3 times, not 3 times where they've been tackled inside the 5 all year and they never threw a touchdown. I'm talking about 3 times it's happened all season for Jalen Hurts. So he only has 3 SBTs, whereas Jaden Daniels has 9 SBTs.
And these SBTs or TDUEs, these tutties, are not like TJ pointing out here that Oz had a touchdown pass called back. They're not the callback ones.
They're not callback ones.
That's a penalty. That is what it is. We're talking about the times where the receiver just ain't good enough
Right.
to make it to the end zone. And that, unfortunately, does include Terry McLaurin, who's had quite a few of these.
Yep.
Not that he's not
That's
wide
why
receiver one, but for the love of
not.
goodness, the guy, tie your shoelaces, Terry.
Wide
Tie
receiver
your
one's
shoelaces.
getting the end zone.
32 yards for B-Rob in the Tampa game, tackled at the 1. And I don't even remember that, but I looked it up.
Terry used to have burner speed.
30 yards to Luke McCaffrey, who was tackled at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
55 yards to Terry McLaurin, who was tackled at the 4. 66 yards to Terry McLaurin, who was tackled at the 3.
Sick of it.
And also another one for McLaurin against Pittsburgh. He had a 16-yarder where he was tackled at the 1.
Sick of it.
And almost all those plays, they run the ball in. They rush the ball in for a touchdown, which takes away from Jaden's stats. He should seriously, he should be sitting at 19 touchdowns and 2 picks. And if he was, he would be top 5 MVP candidate right now. You're muted, Nathan.
19 and 2. That's easy. That's easy money. And so is this from ATA. Oh, there we go. ATA Custom Painting. We appreciate you. And ATA donated $4.99 to us. Says, hey, Commanders fam. I haven't been here for all 200, but congrats on your achievement. Just beat Dallas. HTTC. We appreciate you, ATA, for that donation. We are celebrating 200 as we're talking about our offensive woes here in Jaden Daniels, SBTs or TDUEs. However, we're going to go forward with that. I kind of like SBTs. I don't like STDs.
SBTs. SBTDs.
Throw the stoner name in there, and we've got a deal there. Yes, Mike, stats can be misleading, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. As he only has 10 touchdown passes on the year, and he honestly has played well enough that he should have more. The wide receivers a little bit letting him down. Now we've had serviceable wide receiver play because we are one of the top offenses, but it's really been running the ball that's been the bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you feel the running game has been lacking?
Yes.
For here as we've gotten, this team has stopped scoring 30 points. So since the Panthers, they have not passed 30 points. They've scored 18, 27, 27, and 18.
Yes.
Still good enough, by the way, for like a top 10 offense in points scored.
Oh, yeah.
That's because the lack of games that B-Rob's been playing. He's missed too many games. We have to change our game plan when that happens. We went into the offseason with the idea of Austin Eckler and B-Rob being the thunder and lightning for this team. B-Rob being the bell cow, Eckler being the third down guy, second down slot receiver guy, catch out of the backfield kind of guy, more his shiftiness. And more than what he probably thought, but he's cool with it because he's such a nice guy, Austin Eckler has been the bell cow for more than he probably wanted to be because of the B-Rob injury. And ever since B-Rob has been injured, he hasn't been the same. He's played since being injured, but he has not been the same since being before injured. Like you said, that 33-yard run, we haven't seen a run like that from B-Rob since that game, since his injury, even though he got tackled at 3 or 4 or whatever. But, yeah, it's just not consistent back there. We've had to use Jeremy McNichols more than we probably wanted to. We've had to elevate C-Rod more than we wanted to because our running back room is not healthy. And so our grand scheme of things of using them for our offense has to be altered almost every week because he's either playing or not playing or playing with the less snap count than usual. So it's just not consistent.
A couple comments on this one, Mike. Here, I still think we need a running back like Barkley who has breakout speed. That's Mike Lee. Mike H. They're running up the middle way too much. And Brent, who's not been happy in chat with the offense or Jaden Daniels at all, asking why can't we have a 2-man backfield? And we have seen some of that 2-man backfield, actually, and I don't think that's the issue. And as far as running up the middle, I will say that it feels different when it's Brian Robinson running up the middle compared to when it's Austin Eckler running up the middle, especially when McNichols is running up the middle. You see who gets the holes, who's getting the burst and whatnot. I hate to say this because I was very pro, giving him the extension, and I'm very pro this individual, even if he wore burnt orange all those years ago. but Sam Cosmi has been not nearly the all-pro right guard that I thought he was going to be this year. Maybe the daddy thing is coming to play, and he's
Nah,
just
it's the
not
money.
getting enough sleep.
It's the
It got
money.
paid, because I do think there's like a dad boost normally, right? So maybe the dad boost was counteracted by the getting paid boost or the getting paid detractor. But there's been several times, and he's called himself out as far as it. But to me, I've seen too many times where he's getting pushed around or not hitting the right guy. And it's frustrating because I know he is by far one of the better right guards in the NFL.
Yes, I agree.
Stoner's looking up probably PFF stats, so everyone's going to love this.
Everyone's
going to love Stoner for this. First, Stoner brings us STDs, and now he's going to bring us PFF.
PFF.
I think maybe you've lost your mind a little bit. I mean,
what are you looking up right now?
I'm trying to get into our PFF, but it's taken me a minute because I don't know.
TJ Coleman's looked even worse. AG, I think he started strong. Recently, not so much. And I think that's probably for both of them. I think the offensive line we're given a lot of credit for. Even in that Giants game, 0 sacks against the NFL team with the most sacks going into that game. But against the Steelers and against the Eagles, that offensive line is getting pushed back into Jaden's lap and isn't getting the rushing yards that they should have. Cosmi has been another sheriff.
What makes you think that we could be wrong, Stoner? What makes you think that? And why are you looking up the stat for it?
Well, I think we're getting I don't know. I guess the better question is what makes you think he hasn't played up to his potential? Because if you look at all of the analytics, and that's all we had to look at with offensive line, right? And if you look at the teams, if you look at the team's rushing stats, and if you look at the amount of sacks they've given up, it's an above average offensive line in general. And Cosmi himself is very highly rated in PFF. So I'm not sure. I mean, his pass blocking is 74.
Stats can be misleading.
I know, but what else are you going to go by?
Tape.
Why? Okay, look
at.
Okay, we've watched Cosmi on tape. That's what we're doing on our weekends now. We're sitting there watching Sam Cosmi on the All 22.
Yeah, I don't think we get paid enough to necessarily dig that deep, unless it was a special episode, which maybe we can do one. Deluxe here bringing up a point for you. When the center to your left and the tackle to your right are banged up, both Biadish and Wiley are banged up, it can have an impact.
Yeah,
it's about all 5, right? We've talked about that before. The line needs to play well together, and I want to stress. I get myself in trouble with this all the time, Stoner. You know this. In 200 episodes, you guys have heard this from me a lot of times. Just because I say someone is underrated or overrated doesn't necessarily mean like I think they're good or bad. Okay. And as far as Cosmi's play, it's in that same vein. I'm saying I expected him to be an all-pro right guard at the beginning of the season. He has not been playing like an all-pro right guard for the duration of this season. I think he's been decent, and in the line I've given a lot of praise for, but I expected him to essentially be Trent Williams at right guard.
Yeah. Okay.
So my expectations were set high, and he's not meeting my expectations. That's what I'm trying to say when it comes to Sam Cosmi.
All right. He's in PFF. He's the 33rd ranked guard. That's pretty average, right? So
64 guards.
So his expectations he's not meeting your expectations.
No,
he's not meeting the extension expectations either.
I will say this though, that I think we tweeted out something about Allegretti being a dog, and I believe his PFF grade for the game against Philadelphia was like a 16.7 or something. I mean, it was outrageously bad. But when you got to deal with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Brandon Graham and those studs over there on the other side,
Bryce Huff,
right? So you're dealing with some serious dudes over there, and that's going to have an impact. However, they're going to have to figure something out because you're going to play those guys twice a year, every year. And so you're going to have to do something. Again, how do you fix that? By scheme. And I haven't understood, I guess maybe because of the injury, but a play that is absolutely unstoppable, especially in short yardage, is simply the read option with B-Rob and Jaden Daniels. It's unstoppable if you just need a couple of yards, or it's unstoppable during the course of a drive. And they've got to get back to that. Hopefully Jaden is healthy enough, because you can just see him. He's just not running with the same explosion that he had at the beginning of the year. And that's going to help B-Rob. That's going to help Sam Cosmi. That's going to help Biotish. All of that. It all comes together when you have these injuries all over the place. You're just going to kind of struggle like that.
Brent asking actually a question that I would like to know as well for the entire line, but Brent is wanting to know the PFF grade on Biotish. But I want to know the entire line. Let's hear the entire line for the Commanders, because I know usually they have like the 11-man you can bring up, and it should be fairly easy to see.
I'll give you Biotish is 13th right now. So that's a little bit above average, right? If you figure
it's pretty good
teams, right? That's pretty good. I probably don't know how to bring up that whole
the actual grade seems fairly low according to Gus Bassett with the 65.6. But when you're talking about the 13th best center, it's not bad.
Yeah, he definitely has a 65.6, which is the 13th best in the league. His pass blocking, if you just go by pass blocking, he is Biotish. I can't find him. He must be so far down the list. I don't even see him. That's probably because I can't read very well. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th. So he's the sixth highest ranked.
You missed him. That's why.
I gave bad expectations there.
Yeah, Biotish, by the way, Biotish.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I mean, he's been in and out of a couple of games, right? How many times have we seen, what's his name? His backup. I can't even think.
Michael Dieter.
Yeah, Dieter. We've seen him plenty, and we shouldn't be seeing him. And Wiley's missed time, and Coleman's a freaking rookie.
Lucas.
Coleman's missed time. Lucas has missed time.
Right.
We've seen far too much Trent Scott than I feel comfortable with.
Yeah, although he did catch
good news. DQ said today all offensive linemen were full participants in practice. It's a pool party.
Yeah. Oh man, we could go to Trevor. You ready? You prepared?
I mean, yeah.
You want to wait? Or do you want to wait till we want Dallas?
We want Dallas. I'll wait till then.
We'll wait. We'll let you kind of mentally prepare for the Trev's News Network, or Trev's News and Notes as it is. Let's continue. Let's not get into Dallas. We will be getting to Dallas. In fact, we will be giving away a $200 gift certificate to Fanatics. So you're going to want to stick around for that part of the conversation. Let's stick on this offense. So we're saying that it's got to be the fact that Jaden Daniels isn't as healthy as we think.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury's offense is still looking good. The run game has been absent because of Brian Robinson's absence. Yeah. And this offensive line has been banged up. So how desperate does this offense need that bye to come?
Oh, yeah. I think this mini bye helped us more than what people were probably giving it credit to.
It is 10 days off.
It was 10 days off. So, but yeah, we're banged up. We're a young team. We have some veterans, but for the most part, we're a young team. Brand new team. We still don't have an identity yet. And we just been grinding for 11 weeks straight, then had a little mini bye, and then we got to grind for a couple more weeks, and then we have an actual bye. So, yeah, I think if we didn't have this mini bye, I think that the bye, we would desperately need it. But since I think we had a mini bye, I'm not my desperate level for the bye is not that high anymore because we just came off of a 10-day break without having an official bye. So take away the mini bye, yeah, we need it like Christmas right now. But since we already had a mini bye, it's like, I could wait a few more weeks for Christmas to get here. I'm not that worried about it. So that's how I see.
Man, that bye is
second year in a row at week 14, by the way.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's hard to take that deep because then you're only got 4 weeks 4 NFL weeks after that, right? You have
Yeah.
you have New Orleans, Philly, Atlanta, Dallas.
Yeah.
So you've only got 4 weeks after that. Think about all the teams who have come off buys and how they've kind of rebooted and really jump started the second half of their season. So, man, it's just it's tough to do it this late, especially when they got all these injuries. But yeah, the mini buy, as we're calling it, Trev, that's a big deal for Washington to be able to have those extra days off this week because, man, this team was really banged up.
Grimjaw corrected me. It's the 3rd year in a row that Washington has had that week 14 bye. I think this mini bye that Washington's getting after Thursday Night Football to play Dallas, I think it's also great. We've talked about this before. They're not on the road. Okay. They went to Philadelphia. That was a bus ride up north. They're back home. They've had a lot of time at home. They're not having to travel to Dallas or do anything. So I feel like all that's going to help the team get a little healthy. And I think what also might help for this offense is playing in an inferior opponent, which is what I feel Dallas is. In fact, we have the Dallas Cowboys at home this Sunday. We're going to be talking about the matchup here. Washington, 10-point favorites. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome to our breakdown of the Dallas Cowboys versus Washington Commanders, episode 200. I forgot to put this up here before, but you can see at the bottom of the screen for people watching live how you can enter to win a $200 Fanatics gift card. If you're watching this after the fact, you missed out, but don't worry. We're going to have more good times and more good things happening. So you want to catch us live every Wednesday here on YouTube and Facebook at 7:30 Eastern. Washington, a 10-point favorite at home against Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys. And I have to say, I am almost sad, guys, about this butt whooping we are about to lay upon the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. It's
all right.
There's no excuse.
And I'm sad about it because I really like McCarthy out there in Dallas. I think he's a mediocre coach. And I think that if they could just, pull together, cobble a couple wins and be like, well, Dak was injured and all this other stuff and keep everybody there and keep that mediocrity. I mean, it's not as mediocre as the Clapper. All right. But he won 1 Super Bowl. I get it. I know stoners is usually a thing, but I mean, I'm going to miss him after Jerry Jones fires him.
Yeah,
goes after some other coach because I was like, McCarthy, even though he's beat us up quite a bit, he's a beatable coach if you have a good team. And so I'm a little sad, guys, that it's going to be a butt whooping because it might lead to McCarthy leaving a little bit sooner than I would like.
The Cowboys are dealing with quite a bit, right? They've lost 5 games in a row. Is that right? I think it's 5 in a row. Maybe it's 4 in a row.
They've been, by the way, at home. Every home, they haven't won a home game this year. And to top it off, they have been down by at least 20 points in each of those games.
Yep.
How many home games have they had? 4?
They are 3-2 and away. So all of their wins, of course. So they've had 5 home games.
In all of their 5 home games, the Saints have scored more touchdowns in Jerry Jones Stadium than the Cowboys have this year.
Yeah,
the Saints in 1 game scored more touchdowns than Dallas has in 5 games at home. That's pretty crazy. But look, they're dealing with tons of injuries. It's not like they were rolling before the injuries, but the Dak injury is a big deal. Say what you want about Dak. He's a above average quarterback, and he's going.
They were losing. No.
They
were losing games.
12-5 every year.
They were losing games when he was healthy.
They were 3-3, I think, when he went out, or 3-4. They're not great. I'm just saying, not having Dak is a big deal.
Sure.
No, it's not.
So then you add
It's
in
better than
the.
Cooper Rush. I mean,
Cooper Rush is god awful.
beat us,
And
but
yeah, he has beaten
He
us.
was 5-1 as a starter, and he has beaten us. Yeah.
They haven't had Deron Bland all year, right? They haven't had Sam Williams, a defensive end. They haven't had DeMarcus Lawrence. They missed Micah Parsons for like 4 games. CD Lamb is playing with a lot of injuries. They've had a lot of injuries. They just have. And this past game, 3 offensive linemen went out. 2 of them didn't practice today. So they've have a lot of injuries, but they're just not a very good team, as you said, Trev, even before that altogether.
No,
I think Dak was fine, but just the team. And Jake Ferguson, I think, is out with a concussion. He's their number 1 tight end. They have no offensive weapons to speak of that you have to worry about except for CD Lamb. Rico Dowdle's fine if he's a backup running back and comes in for spurts.
sure.
But to be your primary running back is a totally different story. But their offense overall yards 27th in the league.
Yeah.
Points per game 31st in the league. Sorry, that's their defense. Their offense is 24th in the league.
So bad.
It's still bad at 18.7 points per game. That's how much they're scoring. That's very Washington-esque in years past, right? Our offense was struggling to get to 20 points per game, but their rushing offense is 31st. They cannot run the ball. They have Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle. Dowdell, I want to say his last name.
Dowdle's fine.
They can't run the ball, even though Washington can't stop the run.
It's like,
Stop there.
it's the opposite of unstoppable force and immovable object.
Yeah.
We're the reverse of this, and
So you got their
unstoppable
terrible
force
offense.
versus a movable object.
Their defense is terrible. Against the run, their defense is 31st. Think about that for a second. They have the 31st ranked rush defense, while Washington has the 6th ranked rush offense. So you have the number 6 rush offense going against the 31st rush defense in Dallas. And
I have the button ready if you wanted to just go ahead and call it out, Stoner.
run the ball. No doubt about it. This is the game. This is the get right game. This is the game where you're going to run the ball up and down. They give up 29 points per game. Washington scores 28 points per game. This is a get right game for this offense after the Philly game. It's all right there in front of you, Washington. So they need to take advantage of this opportunity against a bad Dallas defense on both sides of the ball. They're spiraling out of control. The owner has to speak on whether they're going to fire the coach every single week. They can't do anything offensively. They can't stop anybody defensively. You do 2 things and you win the game. You stop CD Lamb on defense and you stop Micah Parsons on offense, and you easily win this game.
Well, Stoner, you've talked quite a bit about who's there and who's not there for the Dallas Cowboys. We've had a lot of people asking what happened to the TNN. Well, we made sure we wanted to have it here in the We Want Dallas section. So let's go to Trev.
For all your Commanders news and notes, it's the TNN. Here's Trev.
Never gets old.
What up? TNN in the house. Trevor's here with the injury report from the Washington Commanders today. First day of practice after coming off that mini bye from the Thursday night game and the Sunday game against Pittsburgh and the Eagles. So I guess today was first day of practice. Zach Ertz was a DNP rest day. I feel like he gets every Wednesday off as a rest. I'm not going to mention that anymore. Nick Bellore, special teams ace, is a DNP with the knee injury. And of course, Marshawn Lattimore is a DNP with his hamstring injury. They said he did a little bit of work on the side field today. Sam Fortier posted a pic of him being a position and a drill for the cornerbacks, and he ran for like a few yards. That's the most I've ever seen him do physically since he's been here, but he's a DNP. I don't see him playing Sunday unless he decides to practice tomorrow and Friday, but I do not see him playing, probably like you said, Stone, in the chat, after the bye, or whoever said that in the chat. So there's that. Good news injury report. Austin Seibert was limited today after missing the last 2 games with his hip injury, right hip injury. He started practicing a little bit today, so that's a good sign. Ben Sinnott was limited with an illness. Khalil Farrell, his knee, feels like his knee is going to be an issue all year. I guess just precautionary. He's limited today. And Noah Igbe with the thumb injury was limited today as well. But full participants were Dorrance Armstrong with a knee, Brandon Coleman, our left tackle, with the thumb, Devontae Jean-Baptiste with the ankle. They activated his 21-day practice window to return. I didn't even know he was on there. I was looking for him to play this past game, calling for him, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was surprised
okay.
too.
So he's back. And then Jordan McGee has an elbow issue, but he was full practice today. So
who's not on that list, Trev?
Jaden Daniels.
I like it.
So it seems like this mini bye is actually becoming more beneficial than what we're giving it credit for. Like I said, today, just Wednesday. Marshawn Lattimore, probably see him after the bye. That makes most sense for him. And everybody else is just resting or limited. So overall, we're getting healthier as Sunday approaches. Now, I don't have the Dallas Cowboy report in front of me, but I looked at it earlier, and I did see Jake Ferguson on there with a DNP. He's out for concussion. Linebacker Eric Kendricks has a shoulder injury. He was limited. A couple other studs. Zach Martin did not practice today. Their outstanding all-pro guard who's trending down, getting out of his prime of his career. So, yeah, that's just the injury report today for Wednesday from the Commanders and the Dallas game on Sunday.
Ferguson, Martin, Tyler Smith, and linebacker Nick Vigil were all DNPs for Dallas.
Something to watch on Wednesday or on tomorrow's for certain. P&W Trout Slayer. So I'm taking JD5's hand is okay with that cut. He did injure his hand in the game against Philadelphia. It's not on the injury report, so that's a good sign.
Stoner, I'm surprised you didn't have anything to say about Jaden Daniels being at a Wale concert during the mini bye. Is that a distraction, or because back in the day when Chase Young did that stuff, it was a distraction? But I just want to see if you think him going to concert this year was a distraction or not on the mini bye.
Okay, to clarify. By the way, what was the Chase Young situation that was a distraction?
He's got offers from like New Balance and stuff. He was doing business things, marketing.
So he missed the camp.
Voluntary.
Right. But he missed camp because of that.
That was
Jaden Daniels miss practice?
We don't know. I don't know the day of the concert.
Yeah, we do know. He didn't miss anything. But I will say it did raise a little eyebrow.
I know it did.
Eyebrow.
That's why I brought it up.
But I thought about it and like this is kind of like a mini bye. He's not missing anything. You saw him at a Wizards game. Right?
But he's hurt, right? Shouldn't he be like rehabbing?
Staying at home, feet up on the couch.
He's studying the playbook because he doesn't know the plays.
He's not on the injury report. I don't have any problem with Jaden Daniels doing these things, going to a Wizards game, going to the Wale concert, things like that, because it's not in place of doing things for the team. That's the problem I had with Chase Young. Is he was doing it instead of
being a volunteer.
We ever got that. Okay. Instead of. It wasn't just that he was doing it. I don't care if he's doing it.
Instead of volunteering. Right.
Okay. We'll probably talk more Chase Young when we play against the Saints there. Gus Bus is going to be in town for that one. So hopefully he will be able to score some tickets that one. Earlier we had somebody saying that they were going to be at the game for this Washington-Dallas matchup. The last time we played at home was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it felt very Three Rivers South.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah, it was
Three Rivers Heinz Field. What is it now? Some other name. It doesn't matter.
Bank or something.
South is what I'm trying to get across here. Do you feel Dallas in the kind of a wayward season? Normally, doesn't matter. There's a lot of Cowboys fans in the DC area. They tend to show up. Will we have home field advantage to go with the Las Vegas advantage that we currently have?
I think so. I think we're going to have more fans than Cowboys fans just because of the way the Cowboys are playing this year. I mean, they don't have any people showing up to their home games. Why would they drive all the way up here to go see? I mean, only reason they would is because it's Washington, Dallas. It's rivalry week, you know. But I don't think it's going to be a takeover like normally is when Dallas comes to town because who's going to drive up there to see Cooper Rush hand the ball off to Rico Dowdle trying to pass to CeeDee Lamb? That's it. That's all it is. So I don't see a takeover. I see our fans showing up and showing out because we've lost 2 in a row. And there are teams. The team Twitter posted today that in our home games this season we've caused I think 3 delay of games and 8 false start penalties with our home crowd. So I mean that's usually saying something because we ain't never have the team post stats about our stadium like that in the positive way. It's usually about water dumping.
It's not poop.
Sewage water. It's not poop water. It's not Jalen Hurts with the railing falling off on him. It's not, we've been to the stadium, all 3 of us together and separate. It's not long lines for food. It's not people being reckless and standing in front of you all the time. It's a positive stat. 8 false starts and 3 delay a game. So, and I think, I keep saying it, the brand new stuff we've got going on here, it's going to entice the crowd to come out even more because we're actually a beneficial home crowd instead of just being there because it's a football game.
We're also a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that it's been a little patch here the last couple of games, but this really is just a fun team to watch. When they get going, like it just is exciting. I think that was the thing that I missed the most in that Eagles game was it just didn't seem fun. It was like your offense wasn't going and Jaden Daniels is not on the sideline smiling. And it was just, I'm hoping that we get back to fun and we talked about how that defense isn't good and how Washington potentially can exploit that poor defense. Now this is a division game. And these tend to be pretty wild in how they go. And how much do you think Dallas, which by the way, Dorrance Armstrong let it out the bag that the players don't care about this rivalry at all, but for the fans, it matters. How much do you think, as far as the division aspect, though, that Dallas is going to stand up and be better than what their stats suggest?
Yeah, well, first, I disagree with you about the home field advantage. There's going to be a lot of Cowboys fans there. There's going to be close to 50-50. Sorry, that's just how it works until you have an off season. Until you have an off season after a good season with a lot of hope and promise, then when tickets come out in the off season, Cowboys fans are going to gobble those up. The Cowboys fans that live around here, just like Pittsburgh did. You can't say that Washington fans weren't trying to buy tickets to that home game against Pittsburgh. They were already bought by Pittsburgh at the beginning of the year because that's what Pittsburgh fans do. So the Cowboys fans. It's going to be a lot of Cowboys fans at this game. It's going to be very disappointing. It's going to take a while to get to where we need to be. But the Cowboys are, to answer your question, Nathan, they're going to come into this game. It is a division game. I don't care if they're 3-7. Cooper Rush doesn't care if they're 3-7. Micah Parsons doesn't care if they're 3-7. They want to go out there and kick some butt and win this game. So they're going to give their best efforts. Especially because it's a division game. So I don't think we worry about that. Again, we've talked about it a million times. Players don't tank. Coaching staffs and owners might tank. And you kind of see it with this. I mean, Cooper Rush, you got to think Trey Lance gives them a better chance to win just because of his athleticism and his ability to break out into the open field.
If nothing else, you see what you have with a former, top pick.
You traded for the guy, for crying out loud. You didn't just pick him up. You traded a draft pick for him. So they're not trying. But when it comes to game time or whatever, those guys are going to be out there working their tails off to try to win the game, regardless of what the record is. There's no rivalry right now, or it's not as heated because Washington's been bad for so long. So DeMarcus Lawrence in Dallas didn't look as Washington as a rivalry.
Dorrance Armstrong.
What did I say? Anderson? What did I say?
No, you said DeMarcus Lawrence.
You went
Dorrance Armstrong said, no, Washington wasn't a rivalry. That's because Washington was never winning. Mm-hmm. But if you asked him if that Eagles game was a big rivalry, he'd say, heck yeah. But not Washington. So now, hopefully, it's going to be a as the years go on with Washington winning. It'll be a bigger rivalry.
Go ahead, Trev. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
It will matter when the games start mattering. And I think that's been the biggest issue is these games, even if Washington's been good, Dallas has usually been bad. Sort of like this year, Washington looking for a playoff spot, Dallas one game behind, as Brent's pointing out here, one game or Giants are one game behind Dallas. Maybe Dallas wants to tank. And that is exactly where Dallas is right now is just like, is it worth going through the rest of this season, again, owner and coach wise, or do they just put a product out in the field to kind of get through the season and look at the draft to improve? I mean, I have a hard time believing that's really where they want to go. You got to remember at the beginning of the season, Jerry Jones says they're all in.
Mm-hmm.
They traded at the deadline for a wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
Teams that are looking to tank don't usually spend assets to go get wide receiver 4.
Maybe.
I didn't even see him out on the field last week.
Yeah, I mean, after the trade, he might not have been ready.
That's
with
been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're right, but
I have never felt this confident about a Dallas game in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because of how bad they are, but because of who we have on our side that's going to benefit us. Because they came from that side. Number one starts with Dan Quinn. He knows Cooper Rush like the back of his hand, probably. He went up against him every day for the past how many seasons. Number 2, Joe Witt Jr., same thing. Number 3, players, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, and Noah Igby. They all know how this offense works. They all know the tendencies of these players. They all know their attributes and all that, not just X and O's. They know like, oh, Cooper hesitates with the ball an extra 2 seconds. Oh, this O-line actually usually tends to block to his left more than his right. And, just stuff like that. So
or they know Mike McCarthy. They know what Mike McCarthy's tendencies for calling.
Exactly. I don't care about Mike Zimmer. They still got Micah Parsons. He knows his tendencies. They still got, like you said, Mike McCarthy, who's the head honcho of it all. So I just feel super confident. The only way we fumble this game is if we literally beat ourselves. If we come out of this mini bye looking too relaxed, if we're looking like we've already got this game in the bag before we get out there, because like you said, it is a division game. So we are going to get the best version of the Cowboys that we've probably seen in the past few games because it's a division game. And it might not be a big game to them being Washington, but in the back of their mind it is. Because no matter if we are better than them, Dallas does not want to go around saying Washington beat us. No matter who's on our squad, they don't want to say Washington beat us because they always beat us, no matter who's on our squad or their squad. But this game is for the taking. It's a get-right game. You should not take the foot off the gas. You should give them a Detroit beatdown. You should give them a beatdown like everybody else is giving them this year. No excuses. We should put up 40 against them. We should see Mariota in the fourth quarter. We should see McNichols in the fourth quarter. We should see this new practice squad guy if he's elevated in the fourth quarter. That's the kind of game this should be. We should be bored watching this game on Sunday. Zero excuse. I don't think we're going to split the series like I normally do when we see Dallas. I think we sweep the series this year. I think our only true NFC East opponent is the Eagles. So just go in there, mollywop them, treat it like a Super Bowl, treat it like they're like the Cowboys of the past. Records don't matter. Just go in there and just lay a slobber knocker and come out of there with the victory. Let's be 8-4 and get ready.
So it's time to start asking everybody what their score predictions are. Trev, what do you think the final score is going to be for this game?
38-17, Washington.
Okay, very good. Let's start getting everybody's score predictions there.
Be honest, I forgot about him. He knows. So we have a huge advantage.
And I think what you're saying, Trev, also, you were talking about Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. knowing the offense. Let's not forget they know Dallas's defense very, very well.
Very well. Yep.
So, and that might be even a bigger key because they're going to know who they really need to plan for. Again, what certain tendencies are of certain players. They're gonna know how to stop Micah Parsons.
Yep.
Right. Whether or not they can execute, that's another thing, but they're going to have a really good game plan. Having that extra couple of days to be able to prepare for Dallas is also a huge key. Just because you're not practicing, The players are getting rest. The coaches are still in there grinding every single day. Coming up with a good game plan on how to beat Dallas and the opponents coming down the road. So there's a lot to like about Washington's opportunity. You have a bad defense in Dallas. You have a bad offense in Dallas with a backup quarterback who's not very good. You don't have many weapons. You've got CeeDee Lamb, and that's really the only guy you're scared of.
Who doesn't have as good of stats as Terry this year, for the record.
Are you sure about that? I think CeeDee Lamb's got some pretty darn good stats over there.
Go ahead and look.
He's got like 106 targets or whatever. But I think he's got 67 catches for 774 yards. I don't know what Terry's are off the top of my head, but he's got 106 targets, man. He's got 67 catches.
Yeah, because they have nobody else to throw it to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind of helps in that. So here, hold on. Let me bring it up for you because all right. You ready for this?
For Terry's, I need
Terry McLaurin.
Numbers.
Terry McLaurin has 48 catches.
So 20 less.
68 targets.
So 40 less.
Yep. 721 yards.
So about 50 yards less.
And 6 touchdowns.
That's 2 more touchdowns than CeeDee Lamb has.
Exactly.
So again, not having as good of a season, in my opinion. If you're a volume guy, name me a basketball guy that's like this, because I'm spacing on one that just like shoots up the rock 50 times a game, but they still only score like
Westbrook.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Do not take my man. You know, Russ isn't the right option. Pick me somebody else.
Well, here's kind of
could do that.
Again, Washington has a lot going in their favor for this.
Jordan Poole. There you go. That's actually Kuzma lately this season. My goodness.
So I think they've obviously got a chance to get right. I don't think it's going to be the kind of game that we're all hoping for. I don't think it's going to be a Carolina game. It's not going to be an Arizona game. It's not a game where they're going to be up 24-3 at halftime. It's not going to be like that. Because that's just not how it works in the NFC East. It just
so we're going to go down and stoop down to their level.
It wasn't too long ago, Stoner, that was how this game went. Washington beat the bricks off of Dallas.
Yeah, I know.
2 seasons ago, where it did look like that. And Dallas last season did it, repaid the favor.
Right,
was eaten in the bowl. They pulled out turkey legs. In the middle of the game against Washington. That's how confident they were.
So, but I just don't get the feeling that that's how it's going to be in this particular game. You remember on Monday or Sunday night, and it was 17-10 Houston at halftime of that particular game. Now Houston ran away in the second half. I think that's how this game is going to go. It's going to be a close game at halftime. It's going to be like 14-10, 13-10 Washington at halftime, and they're just going to wear them down like the Eagles did to Washington this past week, because they're going to consistently run the ball, and Jaden Daniels is going to have a much better game than he has in the past. He's going to run the ball a lot more. So I do see Washington in the end winning easily, but it's not going to be a what game did Mariota come in? Was not the Carolina games. He played most of it, but the end of the game where he had mop-up duty. Maybe that was Arizona, because I think that was a 42-14 game. You're on mute, Nathan. So I think
it was Arizona,
yeah. So I think it's going to be that type of game. It's going to be a close one. We're going to pull away. You're not going to see Mariota. You're not going to be sitting there at halftime twiddling your thumbs because it's
yes, we are
24-3.
Yes, we
but Washington
are.
will end up winning fairly easily in the end, because Dallas is that bad, and Washington's going to need a little bit of time to kind of gel. So I got Washington winning. I've got Washington winning this game 28-16.
2 touchdowns? That's all we're going to win by? Nah,
bro. 31-13. Robert 28-10. Uptown 42-16. 40-13 from Graham. 40-10 from Jeffrey. Joel 41-14. DC Dave with you a little bit. 27-17 there. Brent 28-13.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you what I think is way it's gonna go.
Before Trevor, I give our responses.
Well, Trev did already, by the way.
Well, okay.
While you were
while I was tending to a child interrupting the the show. No, love. He needed to tell me something, so me being the attentive father listened. Before I get to my prediction, we're all in agreement Washington's going to win this game.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, how big do they have to win, or how does this game have to go to make you feel confident before we get to that Philadelphia game? I know we have a couple more games in between this, but like we just lost to Philadelphia in a decided factor. Like, I mean, Philly beat us. Okay. It wasn't the Pittsburgh game where we beat ourselves. It was Philadelphia beat us. So how does this game have to go for us to feel like we're back on track?
Oh, we got to
28-16.
That's it. Stoner's like, just win the game.
38-17. We got to put up points. We got to like we did to Cleveland and Carolina and everybody else that we destroyed. We got to stomp them out. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
We have everything working in our favor, literally from the home crowd to our coaching staff to our players. Like, we need to destroy them. We don't need to narrowly escape them. We don't need to play down to their level and narrowly escape them. We need to stomp them. We need to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat. And just so happens this season, we're supposed to beat Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
We got to come out there and just raise hell.
Love it.
I don't know. I think there's a good possibility that in the end they'll do that, but I just don't have a good feeling about how it's going to start off.
Why do you think that? Because we had too much time off?
Because not because of the time off, but the offense is not going to go from garbage to a treasure in 5 minutes. It's going to just take some time to kind of get back into the flow of this offense moving down the field.
I think we'll pick up right where we left off in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
What I think is that Washington has taken care of business against lesser teams all season long.
Do it again.
And I do feel that's going to be how this game is going to be. I'm going to go 32-14 Washington. Yeah. And I just feel like this is going to be, we talk about get right games all the time. This is, again, as a team you're supposed to lose. You're coming off of a bad loss to a division rival. You have a chance to beat a division rival who's on the ropes. Dallas, make no mistake about it, this victory against the Dallas Cowboys will effectively end any hope they have for making the postseason. They're already kind of clinging. They're hanging on. A loss pretty much wipes them out.
So we all agree.
Finish them.
So we all agree Dallas gets their butt kicked. Washington wins easily.
Yes. On to Tennessee, baby.
That is precisely what we're talking about. Now, Gus here has something that I think might be a good decision point before we wrap things up against Dallas here. If Jaden can't be impressive against Dallas, then suddenly his rookie season isn't as memorable as RG3's. And this is kind of what I was going with this, like how, what does this game need to look like for us to feel confident in this team again? And it means Jaden Daniels, because Jaden Daniels really is the Washington Commanders right now. We are living and dying by his every throw and how good he looks. When he looks great, we feel on top of the world. When he hasn't looked good, we're making excuses.
Yeah, but I don't want to put it all on this Dallas game in order for him to have, a legacy season like that. You want to do it against Dallas, but if he has these great games against everybody else except Dallas, it's still going to be a great season. Yeah, it's still going to rival that of RG3.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, as Locked On Law had said, no excuses. We lost 2 games. Time to get back to winning, not making excuses. Washington has a home game against the Dallas Cowboys. They're 10-point favorites. We'll have your instant reaction after the game. Be sure to tune into that. Let's go raise hell, gents.
Ooh, nice one.
Now that Stoner knows why I did that. And we did that because we're transitioning now away from the Dallas. So though if people still want to talk Dallas, we'll of course talk about it. But we are celebrating our 200th episode today. And we wanted to celebrate by talk, we have everyone joining the conversation. We appreciate it. Mike H gave us a happy 200th here. Hopefully you haven't left yet. And hopefully everybody pays attention to the top of the screen where it says like, subscribe, and share, as Grimjaw is telling you. Hit that like button. And then hopefully you've been paying attention to the bottom of the screen where you could enter to win that $200 Fanatics gift card. Hashtag Hail200 is what I ended up settling on as far as what to do. So make sure you put it in all caps on the Hail 200, no spaces. I want to make sure that we get as much people in there. 12 entries right now, which means Locked On Law is probably going to get their wish. And this is going to go to one of our longtime listeners here. We've had close to 100 come on today. So we appreciate everybody who's jumped in the conversation. At 100, Stoner and Trev both look like they have something to say. So at 100, we talked about what has been our favorite part up to that point. So I'd like to do something like that while we give time for people to enter into the drawing. Stoner, what did you have to say?
Well, I was going to bring up the thread talking about how Washington is going to win the NFC East this year.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did want to bring up that.
Yeah, we can do that while
for people while we give people a chance to enter into the.
I didn't read the thread. So.
Good. I didn't want you guys to read it because I want your organic reaction on some of these things, and you can let me know if I'm crazy. Well, I think they're going to win the NFC East. Right now, they are a game and a half behind Philly. Right? Philly's 8-2. Washington is 7-4. They're a full game and a half behind Philly, right? They're going to win the NFC East because of Kirk Cousins. And not the why you think Kirk Cousins, but because
I don't think
of Kirk Cousins.
Because of Kirk Cousins. So I want to hear this.
Here's why, right? We already know I'm crazy, right? But hear me out and tell me where I'm wrong here. There's 4 NFL weeks between now and the rematch against Philadelphia on December 22nd. 4. Here's who the Eagles play. They play at the Rams. They play at the Ravens. They play the Panthers. And they play at the Steelers.
Ooh.
That's their 4 games prior to the rematch.
Okay.
That's a good team over there in Philly, right? They're not going 4-0. They've already won 6 games in a row. They're not winning 10 games in a row. Sorry.
No.
They're going to lose one of those games. Let's just take the obvious, and let's just say they're going to lose when they go to Baltimore and play the Ravens. Okay? So they're going to go to 3-1. Now, Philadelphia is 11-3 entering the rematch against Washington. Okay? Washington's next 4 weeks, next 4 NFL weeks. They got the Cowboys at home. Right? They've got the Titans at home.
Dub.
They've got a bye week.
Dub.
And then they go on the road to New Orleans. They're going 3-0. Okay? They're going 3-0 in these next 3 games.
Okay.
So
10-4,
they enter the
11-3.
rematch at 10-4. That's right.
Yes.
11-3 against 10-4 in the rematch. The rematch is where? Right here, baby. Right here in Washington.
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be crazy atmosphere. And Washington's going to win because we all said at the beginning of the year, even when Washington was bad, we can split with Philly.
Yeah.
Right? Each team's going to win their home game against Philly. Philly's won their home game. Washington wins this home game. So now both teams are 11-4 with 2 games to go. Who does Washington have in the last 2 weeks? They've got
Dallas,
Atlanta, and Dallas. Dub. Philly has got Dallas and the Giants.
Dub.
They tie at 13-4. Washington and Philly tie at 13-4. So you got to go to the tiebreakers, right?
Uh-huh.
Tiebreaker number 1, head-to-head. They
Split.
each beat each other. So you got to go to tiebreaker 2. Tiebreaker 2 is division record. They both went 5-1, right? Because they lost to each other.
Yeah.
So that doesn't count. You go to tiebreaker number 3. common opponents.
Falcons.
We all know that they have common opponent. They have the same number of common opponents.
Mm-hmm.
We play the NFC South and the AFC North, right? Those are your common opponents, plus, of course, the NFC East. So Washington lost 3 games to common opponents. They lost to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
They lost to Baltimore, and they lost to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Right? So they lost 3 games. Philadelphia also lost 3 games to common opponents. They lost to Tampa Bay. They lost to Atlanta. And then they're going to lose to Baltimore.
Okay.
That's a wash. You go to tiebreaker number 4. Tiebreaker number 4 is conference record. What was your record against teams within the conference? And again, you know they play the same number of conference games. Washington lost conference games to Philly, to Tampa Bay, and Philly and Tampa Bay was their 2 conference losses. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia lost to Washington, Tampa Bay, and the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta Falcons. Okay.
In week 2, Kirk Cousins drove the Atlanta Falcons down in the 4th quarter. He went 6 of 7 for 50 some odd yards and threw a 7-yard touchdown to Drake London to beat Philadelphia 22-21 in week number 2 of the NFL season. And Kirk Cousins finally comes up big for Washington. That's how Washington wins the NFC East. Because of Kirk Cousins. So there you go. That's how they like that. You got any problems with anything I said? With any of the wins or losses? Is Philadelphia going to win every game?
I think actually Philadelphia might even lose the Pittsburgh game.
Yeah.
They could lose too. Right? And then you don't even have to go to tiebreakers, but you have to beat Philly on December 22nd.
Yeah.
If you don't beat Philly on the 22nd, you're not winning the East. And the big difference is this. Whoever wins the NFC East is going to be the number 2 seed. Right? Because Detroit's getting the number 1 seed.
Sure.
So they're going to be the number 2 seed. And whoever doesn't win is going to be the number 5 seed. The number 2 seed gets a home playoff game against the 7th seed, the last wild card. Might be Atlanta, might be Arizona, somebody like that, right? The number 5 seed, regardless of your record, has to go on the road and play a division winner. So if Philadelphia gets the 5 seed, they have to go against the 4 seed, which is probably going to be the winner of the NFC South. Which is probably going to be Tampa Bay, who's already beat them once this year and embarrassed them in the playoffs last year. I've got the road to the NFC Championship game all laid out. Just get on board, and I'll lead you there.
No stoner here.
You got any problems with any of those?
I think the big one is are you putting your 401k on 6-0 to finish out the season? For these Washington Commanders,
I'm not putting my 401k on it, but I would bet a sizable amount that they could go 6-0.
Not that they could, they will go 6-0.
Well, if you're putting money on it, that's what you're saying, that they will. There's a very good chance of that. If you get the health correct and you get Jaden perfectly healthy, you could absolutely go 6-0 down the stretch. You don't have a murderer's row. Your toughest game is Philly. Your second toughest is what? Atlanta? I mean,
maybe.
Come on. That's not a tough schedule.
Yeah. No, it's not.
So there you go. 13-4. They win the NFC East. Number 2 seed. Play a home playoff game against like Arizona or something.
Sure.
So there you
go.
That
wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad. Gus sat here again poking the bear. How about a $200 bet for the 200th episode, Stoner? I'm a little hesitant to even share that one, Gus, because
I'll do that for the Cowboys game.
Our man Stoner entered us into 3 separate survivor pools.
Actually, on the download, just one.
Just one.
Well, we paid for others to do their survivor pool.
Okay.
And it was a big bomb with them as well.
Yeah, JG, I bet BetOnline does enjoy Stoner giving up these.
Does anybody want to bet me on the Dallas game? We want to do a one-sided bet? Like I'll eat a cowboy hat if they lose.
We do need that's something we need between episode 200 and 300. I have the onesie. I'm itching to bring it back. You know, I'm ready. We need something for you two to do. We are celebrating episode 200 here. You have a chance to win a Fanatics gift card. You got to put in hashtag Hail 200, no spaces, all caps on that hashtag Hail 200. We're going to be doing the giveaway here very shortly. Well, you guys got to come up with a gimmick. You guys got to come up with some kind of winning gimmick, something. It can be simple. District divided. They just wear shades. I'm not no shade.
I'm just gonna wear my helmet that I have. I'm just gonna wear the helmet I have. There's mine.
There you go. There you go.
I'm gonna grace you with my presence.
No, you gotta. I liked the victory chug. No one, the hashtag never ended up taken on there, but yeah, victory chug would be something.
Okay,
would be something. We'll figure that out here. We got time. We have been doing this for 200 episodes. We hope to do it for 200 more. We appreciate everybody's support. Make sure you've liked this. You've subscribed to our channel, and that you share it with other people. Let them join in the conversation as well. Let's talk real quick before we do the giveaway. What was your guys' favorite part from 200 to 300? We had some people in here earlier. TJ, the favorite part was Stoner's 40-yard dash this year. Was one of them. What is one of your favorite parts? By the way, Mike mentioning to us, by the way, apparently mentioned on the Junkies
nice
this morning. Thanks, Mike, for the heads up. Stoner probably hasn't listened to it yet. So,
but I will.
When he listens to it, he'll definitely share it with us as far as what was said. But what was your favorite part, Trev?
Wow, that's tough.
From 0 to 200?
No, from 100 to 200, because we did this in episode 100, remember?
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, that's a tough one. From 100 to 200.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, you should have had us think about that beforehand so we could.
I literally pitched this to you guys 5+ minutes ago.
Oh, I know that, but I mean, like
lost in translation with Stoner's NFC Championship.
Yeah, his whole spiel there. We got Rally Cat as an option. That's pretty good.
Let's see here.
Gus is just saying you just break out
100, 200.
All right, I
don't know, man. It's all of them my favorites. That's too easy though.
We became part of the Believe.
I was gonna say Believe Network probably, and us getting more notoriety. Us growing as a podcast from 100 to 200, I think is my favorite. Yeah, I'll take that. Sorry, Stan.
Cheater. You got a suggestion for me, Nathan, so I can steal?
How about getting to 5,000 subscribers?
Getting to 5,000 subscribers is my favorite.
These are things that we've done in that time. So my probably favorite part has, of course, been with you and been with our people, but not to be too cheesy or whatnot, is the growth of the channel, the different graphics we've been doing. We've got some more stuff planned. Things have been busy. I know we're not as last season. We were crazy. We had a video every day. We had technically we had more than that. We had 8 videos in a week is what we were pumping out last year. Wow. We've kind of gone down a little bit this year, kind of streamlining a few things, but I've definitely appreciated everybody who's jumped in here and people like JG here who says, you guys are hands down the most entertaining Commanders podcast. Glad I discovered you last season. I'm glad you did too. And we want to do this. Locked on Lost, favorite part is EP whenever she makes an appearance.
EP.
How about last year when we played the Bears and we did the live stream from last year? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we thought this was going to be a bloodbath for Washington, and Justin Fields was just, and we were doing the live play-by-play,
play,
and we were just so angry and so stunned that that happened. So that was probably one of them for
That's an awful moment.
There's a favorite?
I know
We were getting blown out by the Justin Field-led Chicago Bears.
No, that's not a great moment at all. What are you talking about here?
It was a great moment. I loved it.
Stoner not being able to pour don't sleep energy spreadsheet, says Mike. I actually do want to get back. I actually had a show idea. I kind of got derailed with being in a play, but I have a math show that I want to do that's is still on the docket. I saw some graphics kind of teed up for that one. So when I get time, that's going to be something that I do for everybody. Cause you guys know, I like the graph. I like the spreadsheets. I like the numbers. Stoner bringing up some crazy numbers and STDs today. That might be one of the favorite moments right there is Stoner giving everybody STDs. But let's, speaking of which, let's go ahead and give something away, but not an STD. We've got something better than an STD to give away here. We have 19 entries right now in this particular
last chance
tool. So yeah, you have as long as it takes me to remove some of these graphics here. But we have now 19 entries. Last chance. Hashtag Hail200 to enter. See, got one and got the one. 21 entries. Perfect. Well, of course, that's Stoner entering Ref the District.
Look down here.
Trev entering us into
a new hoodie, dog.
I know, right?
All right.
I got you see over my
Jersey
shoulder.
has been all over this, by the way. Jersey's been putting it in for a lot. Hey, Mike, you put an @ symbol, not a hashtag symbol. So I'm going to give you just a couple seconds to fix that one here.
No more RG3 Stoner?
There we go. Mike is in 22 entries. Let's see who we got here to win a $200 Fanatics gift card on episode 200. I'm going to laugh if it ends up being but no, it's Joel Sanders who ends up winning. Joel has been on and off a commenter with us for a long time. I do want to stress that we have an active group that are commenting, but there are way more people who watch this in the background. Joel has popped on and off here as a way to get that. So congratulations, Joel, on the $200 Fanatics gift card. Make sure you email us refthedistrict@gmail.com with your information and somehow some proof as we don't need everybody emailing. Yeah, we don't need 10 emails. Oh, no, that's me. I'm Joel. We want the real Joel Sanders. So if you can just find some way to make sure that you have proof there. We appreciate it. And we appreciate everybody jumping on here with us on our 200th episode where we talked about all the great things here in Washington. We're going to finish strong. 6-0, baby. Our offense isn't nearly as bad as people think it is, and we want Dallas. We're going to beat Dallas. And until next time,
watch your head. The roof is falling.
Be a fan.
Dallas, this thing.